All right, class, welcome to week 10. We are in our final week. Congratulations. I am coming to you from Johnston County, right here on campus at the college. So we've come quite a long ways from Los Angeles to we were through Austin. At one point, I came to you from Albuquerque, and now coming to you here in North Carolina. So it's finally got my feet on the ground, finally here on campus and ready to get ready for the end of this semester and the start of next semester. So hopefully I'll see a bunch of you in the classes next semester as well. This is week 10, so we just finished. I have already graded your 4-page papers. You should already have your grades, your results. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to me. Just as we look forward for the rest of the week, for this final week, we have our final exam. Remember, this is not going to be a multiple choice exam. It's going to be 4 essay questions, and remember the answers should be in essay form, so, which is not just a couple sentences. It's going to be paragraphs. Remember to cite your sources. If you're going to say something, which I hope you do, say something that is not necessarily common knowledge, then you need to make sure that those sources are cited properly, not just with a reference at the bottom, but also an in-text citation, so the reader knows, the reader being me, knows exactly which reference you are referring to. So if you have something at the bottom in a reference, it has to be attached to an in-text citation, which, remember, are those parenthetical author and dates. If you haven't been putting those into your discussion board posts, your papers, you're losing a ton of points that you could be recovering. So if you don't know what I mean by in-text citation, it's never too late to look at the references that I put at the beginning of the semester on the announcements page. Go to the Purdue OWL Online Writing Lab website and find out what an in-text citation is, not just for this semester, but as we progress through your academic career, it's going to be necessary as you have either online classes with me next semester or seated classes with me here at the college. It's going to be required. It's being required of instructors in other programs as well. So it's best to learn it earlier than later. That way you're not losing those points that I just talked about. We also have a discussion board post this week. And that is going to revolve around the prevention of acts of terror. So moving into that direction, let me just touch on a little bit of that. I want to touch on a little bit of material. I won't keep you too long this week, but I want to talk about risk assessments. Those are ways that we as members of society can prevent terror attacks. And also it applies to criminal activity as well. Risk assessments can be just evaluating your environment. One of the terms you're going to see in the textbook as you read the chapter this week is environmental design. That is just the way that we can personally design our environment, our work environment, our home environment, our vehicles. How can we design our environment to prevent either criminal activity or terror activity? And we can look at our own experiences. Look at the college. Look at the campuses you go to. Look at government buildings that you go to, and start paying attention to the little things that are put in place that are there to either prevent terror attacks or criminal activity. The environmental design can start with physical barriers. So if you look at a government building, and sometimes you'll see a lot of planters in front of the building. It looks like decoration, but they're very large planters, or these bollards. They're called. They're literally large balls of concrete. If you see those are those aren't just for decoration. Those are to prevent vehicles from getting too close to the building, because as we've discussed earlier in this class, vehicle-borne attacks, car bombs and suicide attacks using vehicles are a common way for terror cells to commit acts of terror. So if you can prevent the car from getting close to a building, then that hardens that target. Folks want to go with the path of least resistance. Criminals, terrorists are going to go with the softest target. So you want to harden your target. and make it more difficult to attack that specific location. One of the ways we can do that, as I just mentioned, is making it very difficult for a vehicle to get any closer to a building than necessary with the use of those bollards. The use of personnel security, having actual security guards or police at the location. Here at the college, we have campus police, which is a part of our environmental design, a way of preventing criminal activity and terror activity. If you wanted to prevent, if you lived on the first floor of an apartment building, you probably would be more apt to keep your windows closed if you left the location than if you lived on the 15th floor of an apartment building. Folks aren't going to scale 15 floors to climb in your window. However, if you left your window open on the first floor, it's inviting criminals to come into your home. So that is part of the environmental design. You see, there's a lot of different factors that come into play, and maybe you didn't necessarily think about it, but now what I'd like you to do is, as you're going around town, as you go run your errands, you start looking at things, start looking at buildings, start looking at how they've designed their environment to harden themselves as a target. Locking doors is another way of hardening your target. Lighting. If a criminal wants to remain unseen, they are more likely to choose a target that has less lighting. So either they can't be seen by folks driving by, or cameras, which is another form of target hardening, another form of environmental design. Putting up closed caption or recorded cameras into a system is just another way that you can design your environment to prevent criminal activity. However, if you don't have the lighting to support those cameras, then it defeats the purpose, and you've now softened your target again. So those are just some things to keep in mind when it comes to either the prevention of terror acts or the prevention of criminal activity. You want to really keep in mind the environmental design of the target, and see if everything that can be done is being done to prevent those acts, that criminal behavior. And as you go into your discussion board posts, discuss the environmental design, as well as some of the other things that we've done and learned based on terror acts here in the country. You can talk about the biggest lesson that we've discussed this semester is the sharing of intelligence information between different agencies. Feel free to discuss that in your discussion board posts. Anything else that comes through your research, just make sure you cite the sources where that information was found. If you want to cite this video, by all means, just make sure you cite it correctly. And I look forward to seeing your discussion board posts, and I'm really looking forward to reading the answers to your final exam. I think it's going to be difficult, but with every challenge comes a reward, and it's going to really show you how much you've learned through the last 10 weeks. I will have your grades to you as soon as possible before the semester is completed, I hope. So you'll have your final grades calculated, and I will go through your exams and make sure that your lowest score is dropped. As always, any questions that may arise, feel free to give me a call. I am here on campus, but the same number that's on the website is still good. I will change that once the next semester starts to my office number. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope each and every one of you have enjoyed this journey just as much as I have.